2025 biggest wedding, Princess Leonor and Prince Christian guest list leak. Imagine this. A calm morning in Spain. A normal news cycle, a predictable rhythm, and everyone expecting another quiet royal update. That's the familiar setting. But suddenly, everything flips. A single alert flashes across European news feeds. The guest list for the 2025 royal wedding of Princess Leonor and Prince Christian has leaked. Wait. The most protected, confidential, tightly controlled royal document of the year, leaked. That's not supposed to happen. Not for a future queen. Not for a future king. Not for the biggest royal wedding Europe has seen in decades. But here's the plot twist nobody expected. The leaked names reveal alliances, rivalries, surprises, and emotional reunions that completely change the meaning of this wedding. It's no longer just a ceremony. It's a political statement, a family test, and a moment that exposes who truly supports this union, and who doesn't. This is the 2025 event Spain and Denmark cannot stop talking about. And today, we're going to explore every layer of this leaked guest list, the emotions behind each name, the history each invite carries, and the silent messages hidden in who was chosen, and who was left out. Let's begin. Princess Leonor, heir to the Spanish throne, stands at a moment that will define her destiny. She's no longer simply the future queen of Spain, she is a young woman preparing for a wedding that symbolizes a bridge between two monarchies. In Spain, this wedding represents continuity, stability, a new era, but in Denmark, the same event represents something more complicated, a cultural shift, a generational transformation, and the merging of two royal families with very different histories. And yet, no one expected the guest list to reveal so much. The first wave of shock begins with the top tier of guests, the heads of state. People assumed all European royals would attend, but the leaked list shows something more curated, more intentional. Only a handful of reigning monarchs are among the front-row guests. That alone raises questions. Why were some invited and others deliberately ranked lower? Why were certain royal households given premium seating while others were reportedly placed farther from the central aisle? What does this say about diplomacy in 2025? Immediately, analysts notice that certain invitations reflect strengthening alliances. Spain and Denmark are signaling unity, but they're also signaling strategy. But the real emotional storm begins with the family names. Leonor's list is personal, sensitive, loaded with history. Every inclusion carries weight. Every omission, even more. Queen Letizia and King Felipe, naturally, are at the center. But it's the other names, cousins, distant relatives, figures from Leonor's childhood, that catch everyone's attention. Some guests who have stayed out of the spotlight for years are suddenly invited. Others, who were always expected to be present, are missing. And then comes Denmark's side. King Frederik and Queen Mary stand proudly behind their son, but their extended family adds extra complexity. Because the Danish royal family has experienced public tension, generational disagreements, and moments of change since Queen Margrethe's abdication. Seeing who is included, and in what seating arrangement, hints at which relationships have healed, and which are still strained. The leaked list reveals someone unexpected on the Danish side, a guest not seen in royal events for years. Their presence raises new questions. Did Christian request their inclusion personally? Is this a reconciliation, or a royal obligation? And how will the Spanish royal household feel about this surprise guest? But the most shocking names are not royal at all. They are global public figures, influential leaders, cultural icons, people whose presence shifts this wedding from a European royal event to a worldwide cultural moment. These are individuals whose attendance turns the wedding into a geopolitical gesture, a celebration of youth, modern leadership, and a new Europe emerging from a world hungry for unity. And then, tucked between diplomatic names and aristocrats, one more category appears. Friends. Leonor's closest friends from her school years. Christian's longtime companions from Denmark. Individuals who have stayed private, loyal, and out of the spotlight, until now. Their inclusion makes the wedding feel real, human, emotional. It is a reminder that behind titles and crowns, this is still the story of two young adults stepping into the most high-pressure commitment a royal can make. And this is where the curiosity deepens. If these friends are invited, who else was left out? the omissions become louder than the inclusions. People expected certain names, traditional allies of the royal families, longtime palace insiders, but their absence is unmistakable. Did they decline the invitation? Were they intentionally excluded? Or is this a sign that old dynamics in the European aristocracy are shifting? The leaked seating chart reveals even more drama. Some guests are placed in prestigious seats near the aisle. Others, surprisingly, are moved further back. A few names appear on the outer list, a category reserved for those considered important but not emotionally connected. These subtle details expose layers of political negotiations happening quietly behind the ceremony. But the most emotional discovery is the placement of two special guests close to the front row, individuals whose relationship with Leonor and Christian has shaped their journey but has rarely been discussed publicly. Their presence confirms what insiders have whispered for years: they are the emotional anchors in this story, the trusted guides for both heirs. This single detail deepens the tone of the wedding. It shows that this ceremony is not just about tradition, but about authenticity, loyalty, and the people who helped Leonor and Christian survive the pressure of growing up royal. As the list continues, we find representatives from Spain's military academies, reflecting Leonor's rigorous training. Naval figures, Air Force commanders, officers who guided her through challenging rites of passage. Their invitations are symbolic. They honor her dedication and mark her evolution from princess to future queen. On Christian's side, leaders from his military training academy appear as well. The list shows respect for his service, discipline, and his path toward leadership. It also hints that his connection to the military remains central to his identity, even as he steps into marriage. Yet as we examine the list further, something stands out: the absence of two notable figures from the political world. Their seats remain unassigned. No explanation. No alternate names. Just two empty placeholders. Why? Theories spread instantly. Some believe political tensions influenced the decision. Others speculate it was personal, a disagreement, a conflict, or simply emotional distance. Whatever the reason, the omission is significant enough to spark conversation across Spain and Europe. Next, we examine the social category of guests, philanthropists, innovators, and cultural icons whose attendance shifts the symbolism of the wedding. Leonor has always been passionate about education, youth empowerment, and cultural cohesion. Christian has always supported environmental initiatives and community work. The inclusion of certain nonprofit leaders reflects their shared values. It hints at the causes they might champion together as a couple. But perhaps the most heartwarming part of the list comes near the end, the section reserved for children and young guests. This detail, small but meaningful, shows how Leonor and Christian want their wedding to feel welcoming, inclusive, and grounded in family joy. Even amidst global attention, these young guests represent the innocence and excitement of new beginnings. Then there's the mystery. One name appears on the list with no title and no explanation. A single individual, marked with a seating assignment close to Leonor's family. No one knows who this person is. No background. No information. Analysts are speculating wildly: a hidden mentor. An old family friend. Someone who played a private role in Leonor's life. This one mysterious name becomes its own curiosity loop. Now we return to the bigger picture. This wedding isn't just a ceremony. It is a political message. A cultural statement. A moment that stitches together Denmark and Spain at a time when Europe's young generation is redefining tradition. The guest list reveals support, tension, ambition, reconciliation, and secrecy. Each name carries weight. Each omission tells a story. And at the center, we see two young heirs preparing to merge not just their families but their futures. This is why the leak matters. It exposes dynamics the public rarely sees. It shows us where alliances are growing and where distance still lives. It reveals the emotional foundation behind the glamour. And it reminds us that even in a world of crowns and protocols, the human heart decides more than we think. As the wedding day approaches, every detail will be magnified. But nothing reveals the truth more clearly than the guest list, the people chosen to stand beside Leonor and Christian as they step into history. Because in 2025, this isn't just Europe's biggest wedding. It is the ceremony that will shape the next generation of royalty.